Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tell the Trevor. Today on my podcast, I have.
The one, the only, the one who rocks the Flowhawk. Yours truly, Justin Flow.
Okay, I like that. Um, what inspired you in the professional wrestling industry?
Um, if we're going as far back as when I fell in love with professional wrestling, because that would be the reason why I'm in this whole business to begin with. I remember very vividly back when I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I came home from a motocross event, and Flip just randomly turned the TV on, and lo and behold, on local cable, there it was Monday Night Raw, or Raw is War, as it was known back then. Um, Fell in love with it instantly. I was just so curious because I hadn't known what professional wrestling was at that point in time. I just see like what looks like a boxing ring, which is something I'm similar to seeing these guys slam each other, the crowd's reacting. These people look like stars. I'm like, wow, this is crazy looking. It goes to commercial, and then I flip the channel. I go up one channel. Local cable in Louisiana at the time had two networks next to each other, was the USA Network and TNT. So as soon as I turn Raw is off, I see WCW Monday Night Nitro on, and it blows me away that there's two different types of shows like this, right?
Right,
So I just like I'm immediately hooked. These people look like stars, like action heroes, villains, and like I'm literally just consistently clicking on my CRTV back and forth, just trying to catch all the action. Immediate, immediate catch of attention for me. And every day I kept turning the TV on around that time just to see if it was going to show up. And then I think it was Thursday Thunder, I think it was, and then or Friday night SmackDown or Thursday night SmackDown at the time. And I fell in love with professional wrestling. I fell in love with the ability to tell a story and be athletic at the same time. It's in regards of what people say about professional wrestling, where it's the fake nonsense BS. Fall in the ring one time and then tell me it's fake, right? Like,
right.
yeah, and I've always been appreciative of professional wrestling, and so I was a fan of it for years and years and years and years and years. And then around at the age of 25, I was kind of lost. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my life, and but something has always clicked in the back of my brain, like, professional wrestling. Give it a shot. Try professional wrestling. I tried everything else in the book of interest and nothing was working. So I said, you know what, screw it. I'll give professional wrestling a shot. We'll see where it takes us. I end up finding a YouTube video from like 2012 of a guy named Mad Dog Dan Sawyer. He has a training facility up in Remlap, Alabama called the House of Pain. I said, screw it. I'll send an email to him, see what we can do. And he ended up liking what I had to offer, trained me for about 3 years, and then handed me off to a guy named Joshua O'Hagan, an Alabama wrestling legend. Um, he was the one that got me booked for one of my first ever shows, which was Victory Championship Wrestling, now known as Spartan Pro Wrestling. Um, I debuted for them January 18th of 2020, and the first time I got to be out in front of a crowd and and wrestle and perform the way I do, I knew this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Like for me, my dad dated one of the WCW's producer's daughters.
Okay.
So he always tells me the story every time we have any wrestlers or big fans of wrestling over at the house for like food, WrestleMania.
Mm.
So every time Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen and everybody from WCW had a show in Charlotte, they would go to the bar.
Hmm.
First thing you hear from Ric Flair's mouth when he walked in is "around for everybody."
You wouldn't be Ric Flair if you didn't do that.
Uh,
It's like he wouldn't be Ric Flair if he didn't do that.
right,
Spent more money on
and
spilt liquor than most wrestlers made.
right, and it cracked me up more than anything because, like, my dad's telling me like all the people from WCW back then. He goes all into detail with Sting. He's like Sting with the blonde hair, and I'm like, man, this guy really remembers this all from his childhood.
Sure.
Like, but then later on, I found out he dated this girl for like 3 years, and I'm like,
Oh well.
that probably explains why he can remember this so clearly.
Yeah, yeah, probably very vividly. Yeah.
But on top of that, he went to school with Isaac Koloff's son,
Okay.
and Isaac Koloff's son got bullied because Isaac Koloff was Russian. So
Of
my dad
course.
didn't even
And
associate with Isaac Koloff's son. But when my dad was studying at some restaurant, Isaac Koloff would be at the restaurant, and my dad would chit chat with him every day.
that's awesome, man.
And then I told my dad, I was like, you know who's going to WrestleK this year? And he's like, who? And I was like, Isaac Koloff. I was like, I think there should be like a reunion going on or what?
Sure.
Because
Why not?
there's like he's coming to Winston-Salem. That's only like 2 hour drive, which I'll be there with Mr. Yankee TDM, Corey Doinger, Rafael Delgado, and Tommy Okami.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's a packed event.
Yes, especially since they just announced yesterday Trish Stratus is going to be there. And I'm like,
Not gonna
okay,
lie. Pretty jealous about that.
right. And I'm like, and I remember talking to the guy that does the rooms and everything, and he was like, which room do you want? Because you're bringing in these guys that are known on the YouTube independent scenes,
Right.
GTS Wrestling or down in Florida. So I was like, I don't care. And they're like, where, what days are you going to be here? And I'm like, Friday and Saturdays. I was like, I'm not going to be here Sunday. That's ladies' night out. That should be just for the
Sure.
ladies,
Sure.
or if legends want to make some extra cash.
Sure.
So that's all going to be fun
Hell yeah, dude. You
this
have a good
year.
time, man.
I will try just because a lot of my friends will text me who's going,
Hmm.
and then I hear the names. Like someone's like, Sting's probably going to be there, and I'm like, not going to be surprised.
Right.
His line last year was 3 hours long.
Oh yeah, no, no. Anytime staying, if I've ever seen him in any type of comic convention, the lines are ridiculously long. The
Yeah,
guy is a legend, and rightfully so. So of course that's to be expected.
and then it doesn't also help they had him in the same room with Ric Flair and Darby,
Right. Yeah.
and I'm like, well, I guess he got the ring with his best friends.
Right. Right.
But who were the wrestlers you idolized as a kid?
Um, there's three notable ones that stood out to me the most. It's the first two for me personally was The Rock and Stone Cold. Those two arguably were the top dogs of the business at the time. I was watching as a little kid. The Rock for his charisma, his in-ring work was great. Stone Cold pretty much for the same thing. Both, at least in my eyes, were up at that level and at that bar. Um, that influenced me really a lot with what I do with wrestling. It was them that influenced me, but it was CM Punk that saved my interest in professional wrestling. In a time in which we were having guest host on Monday Night Raw, it was still the land of the giants. It was very washed down product. It's what it really felt like. I was like, I was this close to just being like, yeah, whatever. And, it's not my thing anymore. And then CM Punk sat crisscross on that stage in 2011 and cut the ultimate pipe bomb, and
Mm-hmm.
instantly I was rehooked. And it arguably that set off not only my interest, but it really seems like it set off a whole new evolution into professional wrestling. A lot of the younger guys, independent guys that wouldn't be looked at, they got attention because of a guy like CM Punk. And and what he did and what he elevated WWE to be, all before he left in 2014 for obvious reasons. WWE evolved and it evolved where it needed to. And now WWE is arguably in a renaissance of greatness with all the sorts of talents and the stories they're telling. I really haven't been this interested in watching a wrestling program probably back since I was a kid. It's a good time to be not only a wrestling fan, it's a great time to be a professional wrestler too. I mean, the amount of options professional wrestling has, the amount of options you have to watch or partake in professional wrestling is the highest it's ever been, probably since the 70s, 80s, before the territories vanished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like for me, I've had friends in the territories of NWA. Got a friend that's in in NXT. Got a couple friends in the ID program. So all this for me, like I will hit them up all the time if I got like a question about certain things in the business, comparing both ones, what's different.
Right.
But for me, it's always great. I will always say to have that knowledge and learning everything, and then plus having my sponsors, which always are great because they always bring in like John Schuyler or
Sure.
Savannah Evans to their
That's awesome, man.
shows. And the one thing John Schuyler and I always, for some reason, anytime I'm wearing a wrestling shirt, he's always asking, "What shirt am I wearing?" And I was like, he hasn't tried to sell me a shirt yet, so I'm waiting until he sells me a shirt.
Is that, send me some merch, man.
Right. But it cracks me up. It took me 3 years, not 3 years, 2 years, two times seeing Savannah Evans to just go up and ask her, "Hey, can I get you on my podcast?"
Sure.
Before the podcast was even a thing, or like even to say a conversation with her.
Right.
So with all that, that's all fun. But let's see. What was your first wrestling match like?
Probably the most nerve-wracking thing in my entire life. I mean, you have to think, like I said earlier, I trained for 3 years to get my professor of wrestling down as much as I could. I then go to Josh O'Hagan. He gives me the opportunity to work with Victory Championship Wrestling, which was being run by Johnny Slaughter at the time. So there's a lot of the standards with this show are very high. And like I've always gone into any type of show that I've worked with that standard. And so to work in front of to work in a training ring is one thing. To work in front of a crowd is a completely different thing. I worked with a guy who goes by AWOL down here in the Alabama wrestling market, and we went out there for about 5 minutes, and the crowd was blown away by my first appearance. I took his suplex, reversed it into the DDT, hit the pin 1, 2, 3, and I won my first ever match. The crowd went nuts. They seemed to enjoy me. Um, I go backstage, everybody's like, "Wow, dude, you act like you've been wrestling for years." I'm like that, thanks, dude. Like I like giving them high fives. I go, "Yeah, yeah." Oh God. Oh, I'm blown up. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, geez, like I mean, instantly, like the adrenaline as soon as I went backstage went, and so did the rest of my body. So I had to sit in like a chair for like a solid 10 minutes. But to get the locker room's respect right from the get go, that helped massively with my confidence and becoming a professional wrestler. Like I sat there for a second once I regained my energy. I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is something I can do. This is absolutely something I could do, and it started there. It started literally in the middle of a gym in the middle of nowhere, Mumford, Alabama, and now I've bounced between Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, and Alabama, and looking to expand even further.
What are your goals for the future in the wrestling business? I know you just said expanding states you've been in or countries.
The goal is to get my name on a dotted line somewhere and make this my full-time gig. That's the
Yeah.
ultimate goal. My dream has been really since I was 6 or 7 years old to be a professional wrestler and perform in that squared circle in front of thousands, if not millions of people, watching or attending. Um, it's not even so much the fame and the glory as much as it is my respect for the sport as a whole. It really is professional wrestling really is a fine art. And I've always considered that as a fine art. I'm an artistic type of person, and it just kind of goes hand in hand with me. I love getting to do what I do in front of that crowd, and whether they love me or they hate me, at the end of the day, it's all good. And if I give any fan just 10 minutes, 5 minutes away from their problems and just enjoying what I have to give to them, then I've done my job and I thoroughly enjoy it. And I would love to make it my full time gig. So, to get my name on a dotted line within these next 5 years is the ultimate goal. Otherwise, expanding my name out the southeast and into the Midwest, Northeast, West Coast, wherever will take the Flowhawk. You know what I mean? It's a pretty
Yeah.
cool mohawk, gotta say. Ooh.
Can you describe your wrestling persona or character for the fans around the world?
My persona is basically just an extension of who I am. I was born and raised on the outskirts of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, with not much money to go around. Me and my family scraped by with everything we had, and back then I was just a scrawny little punk kid who grew up on the streets of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and dealing with bullies and just jerks throughout my entire life. I finally said, you know what, enough is enough. I ain't gonna take that. And so, I fight back against them any way I can. My fighting style is reminiscent a lot of what I had to deal with back then when I was younger. That was all before, I moved up here to Alabama, learned a couple things from some worthy legends such as Joshua Hagan and Mad Dog Dan Sawyer, and I've elevated my fighting ability. And my multiple championships I've taken over the years have proven that fact. My tenure in the business so far has proven that fact. And anybody who's willing to watch, anybody who's willing to give me a call, willing to book me, will see that and want to, you know, give another ring to the Flowhawk any chance they get to.
Can you share a memorable moment from your wrestling career? I know you talked about your first match with the locker room respect, but is there another one?
Um, There's been a lot, but one that really stands out to me. So at Spartan Wrestling, we have a guy that goes by the name of Onyx. He's a younger gentleman who actually has a form of autism. And but man, if you saw him the way he works in that ring, you wouldn't even know. Me and him. And several others of our roster win what we call the Pancration Rumble at Spartan Wrestling, which is just a big wrestling rumble that whoever it's basically the same rules as the Royal Rumble. Whoever gets thrown over the top rope, whoever is last in the ring, gets a shot at one of our championships, right? So, what we wanted to do is give him a moment that he so rightfully deserves because the kid have gone through so much and with the conditions that he has, but the ability for him to work in the ring and just you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know that he had it. And so we went through that entire rumble. It was me and him at the last two, and that crowd was on fire. I think they brought. In fact, he's part of an organization, one of the autism organizations down here. They invited all the people who are in partaking of that organization to the show, so everybody was on their feet. Onyx, Onyx, Onyx. And I'm a bad guy at the time, so I'm beating this dude down. The crowd's going crazy. He starts firing up on me. We're going back and forth. And then he gets that one big crossbody off the top of the turnbuckle. The crowd goes crazy. He throws me out. The crowd goes nuts. He has an amazing moment. For me to be able to give him that moment, it's easily one of the highlights of my career. I'll never forget that for as long as I live. Um, yeah, I would definitely say that's one of my all-time favorite moments of my career so far, without a doubt.
Can you describe the feeling of winning your first championship?
Breathtaking and solidifying of what I've been doing all these years. You know, is it a WWE championship? No. Is it an AEW championship, a new WWE? Is it a championship that's notoriety at that level? No. But a world championship at a independent show, somebody believed in me, believed in the Flowhawk that he deserved to be in that championship run. I went through that championship run. This was at a promotion called Bad Boy Pro, that's now known as High Voltage, that ran out of Huntsville, Alabama. I went tooth and nail, fought back and forth with a guy known as Christian Pierce down here. We've had some history. We've had some history over the past few years. And I finally pinned his shoulders down 1, 2, 3 and won that Bad Boy Pro championship. And man, it solidified it. It solidified everything. Like, I'm worthy of something here. A locker room has faith in me to lead it. And yeah, it was a wonderful feeling for me to have that championship belt. And I held it for a good long time. And that was the start of multiple championship runs. I now am, as of now, almost 300 days, your CWF heavyweight champion, and I'll be facing um, the Manimal, Kanan Marks, and the Blinding Lights, Mr. Orion from OVW, or formerly known as John Loco, this Saturday. So
Which the Orion has also been on the podcast too.
has he?
Yes. It
Very
was like
interesting.
an hour so long episode we did
Hmm.
talking about the history, all the stuff and everything.
Sure.
How do you handle the mental and emotional aspects of wrestling?
It is very much a mental game as it is physical. Because for those who may listen to your podcast who have never even so much as fallen in a ring, taken a clothesline, taken any form of action in the ring, needs to understand that what we do in that ring, whether you like us or hate us, it's a beating on our body. Every single time our body slams on that literal boards about maybe yay thick and then steel bars, we have wrestling mats maybe this thin that we're falling on. And we're jumping off of turnbuckles, we're jumping off the top of cages, and we're slamming our bodies. We're sacrificing ourselves physically for the entertainment of every single person who attends our show or watches our shows. And while as physical as that is, it's a mental game as well because then you're in pain, you're sore, you're bruised, you're cut up, you're beat up, but then you got to get to the next show and do it
Yep.
all over again. If you've heard any legend talk about how their bodies are after all these years, it's a sacrifice through and
Yep.
through. And you have to mentally be ready to do that sacrifice because if you're not willing to do that sacrifice in professional wrestling, quite frankly, it's not for
Yep.
you. It's a thing that only few people can really do, do it right and put themselves through for, you know, 5, 15, 20, 30 years, sometimes 40 plus. It's a mental game, definitely as much of as a physical game. But if I didn't have the passion for it, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yep. Um, who? Let's see. All right, we're gonna start this segment called Trev Shock.
Okay,
So it's where you got 50 seconds to answer 6 questions,
sure thing.
and the current record is 37 seconds remaining
Okay,
by Claire Carter.
we'll see if we can beat it.
Okay. If do you got a extra, you got a timer over there that we can use?
I got a mental clock. We'll figure it out.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Favorite pre-show snack.
Pizza.
Pre-show song.
Be Quiet and Drive by Deftones.
Who's your favorite wrestler growing up?
The Rock.
Favorite sports team.
LSU Tigers.
Favorite color.
Purple.
Favorite type of music.
New metal, rock, punk. Anything that involves a guitar and shredding.
And that was Trev Shock, guys.
How do we do, my friend? How do we do?
I'm gonna go with you had 25 seconds. Ugh. I know you did not beat the record, so
Eh, we'll do it again sometime.
yeah.
We'll see if we can beat it next time.
Because every time I do bring someone on, I always change up my questions. So,
Okay.
like, last season we had was your favorite Looney Tunes character.
Man, I like them all though. Looney Tunes is hilarious.
That
Love the
is like my
classic Bugs Bunny on that one.
yeah. That is my go-to Sunday after church thing to go watch for hours.
Fair enough.
That or go play that World of Mayhem on the phone.
Nice. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows recently. Just bought it recently. Really good game so far. I'm enjoying it.
What are the biggest challenges of being a professional wrestler outside of the ring?
Um, man, there's several, but really it's if nothing, the cost of wrestling, if nothing else, because while we do make money as professional wrestlers, we're obviously not making six figures, five figures like a WWE contract does. So, you got to fixate your budget, not only with whoever is booking you, but then you got to think about the gas it takes to get to the shows, the food you're going to consume when you get to the shows. Sometimes, if you travel far enough, a hotel you got to stay in. Expenses are as big of a challenge as the wrestling itself, being a professional wrestler. So, I would say, yeah, expenses is probably the biggest challenge outside of it.
If you could any legendary wrestler from the past, living or dead, who would you pick and why?
Man, that's a tough one. So many good ones. I would say just because the fact that he saved my interest in wrestling and really has inspired me in a lot of ways to be a professional wrestler, I'd say CM Punk. CM
Okay.
Punk undoubtedly is the guy that saved my interest in professional wrestling, made me a professional wrestling fan again. His story and how he stuck to his guns leaving WWE in 2014 when he knew that they weren't going to treat him with respect, and for him to come back to WWE and now about to do what the one thing he has never been able to do, main event WrestleMania. His story is unlike any other, and for him to stick to his guns the way he has, I have that same type of mental game too. So um, if I ever had an opportunity just to meet the man, let alone get a chance to wrestle the man, it would be an honor and a pleasure.
If you could attend a wrestling seminar session with any wrestler, who would you pick?
Hmm. Rob Van Dam. I think a Rob Van Dam seminar would be really good. I've always enjoyed Rob Van Dam, his his in ring work, and and I've seen so many podcasts with him too, and just he's such a real dude, and I feel like I get inspired a lot by the way he wrestles as well, and the way he works out too. So I would love to have a seminar with Rob Van Dam.
If you could have a wrestling legend as your mentor, who would you choose?
AJ Styles.
Okay.
I would do AJ Styles. I eventually met AJ Styles before a previous time when I worked for Anarchy a few years back, and he gave me some really good advice, especially in my younger years. I've been wrestling professionally now for 5 years, so in my first year to meet him and then be able to get some really needed advice for my career. If I could have him as a leader, yeah, someone to guide me in the locker room, if I got to WWE or so, either him or Punk, but I think AJ would be a really good lead in that retrospect.
What is your favorite gear that you have ever had made?
Ooh, man. Well, it's gear that I made myself via a fighting shorts custom company. They have a 3D sort of creator where you can just import, your logos or your designs that you want to throw onto the shorts. They're my first ever shorts I debuted in, and I still think arguably they're my favorites. I'm about to get some new custom ones made by a gentleman that I know of, but I'm still waiting to hear back from him. But as far as ones that hold a dear place in my heart, my first ever fighting shorts easily are arguably my favorite still to this day.
And then where can they find you on social media?
Sure. You can follow me either on Instagram at JO_FLO23. You can follow me on Facebook, either searching up Justin Flo or my name Justin Scott Flores. You can follow me on TikTok as Justin Flo. I post things there from time to time. I also have a YouTube called Justin Flo. I have playlists of my matches if you ever want to check out the Flowhawk and what he has to offer. You can check me out on Coastal Wrestling Federation as they do live streams every single time they run a show. We will be having a show this Saturday. You'll be getting to see the Flowhawk in action twice, not only at main eventing and also starting the show defending this title right here, the CWF Heavyweight Championship. And trust me when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going anywhere from the Flowhawk. Otherwise, you can catch me out at the Gadsden Mall for Spartan Pro Wrestling, my home promotion. We run a show every fourth Saturday of every month, and we run a weekly Tuesday rookie show for all of our up and coming talents. And who knows, you may catch the Flowhawk there as well. It is free admission, ladies and gentlemen. There is no reason not to attend those shows. And otherwise, you can just catch me on any podcast like Tell the Trevor.
All right. Thank you, Justin, for being on Tell It to Trevor today.
Yes, sir. Thank
Um,
you for having me.
Guys, just a friendly reminder until WrestleCade, the Monday after WrestleCade, we have a t shirt contest going on. So who does not like free merch?
I do.
Especially when you get to pick the logo you want on the shirt.
Do tell.
All right, so we got 4 logos made by a professional company. Um, and then you get to how you guys enter in is go to the link tree on all the platforms. Click since Justin's a wrestler, he would click wrestlers
Mm.
because there's 2 winners,
Hmm.
and then there's one for the fans. Or if you're at WrestleCade, because the contest will be already over by WrestleCade,
Okay.
you guys can go ahead and buy the T-shirts for $20.
Man, it's not bad. It's about how much I sell mine.
But other than that, that's how you guys enter in it, and then I will have a winner. One of the people from WrestleCade that I'm taking with me pick a winner. They'll each pick one. Um, so, but thank you guys to the sponsors of TBD Wrestling, Wrestling Evolution, Apple City Championship Wrestling, which are all located in North Carolina.
If any one of those promotions ever want to hit up the Flowhawk, looking for some sweet action from the man himself, just give me a holler. I'll be waiting.
All right, guys, and we will see you guys next time.